What's up? It's Around the Boards. You know me. I'm Rob. I'm here again with my buddy Dez, my buddy Dunk.
Hey.
This week, we're trying to have a new format for you guys. We're cutting our show into three pieces: first, second, and third periods. Tell them about it, Dez.
That's right. First period's going to be what's going on in the NHL. It's going to be the news.
Get you up to date.
That's right. Period 2, just a bunch of nonsense because no one really cares about the second period.
It's a long change period. It's a long change.
That's right. And period 3, if we have a special guest, that's where we're going to plug them because I think the last period is always the most important one. So
we're finishing strong.
That's right. So period 3. This week, our guest is Jeff Osborn, so stay tuned for that. All you Blackhawks fans out there, stay tuned for that because it's a good one. And even if you're not a Blackhawks fan, he's got a lot of good insight and good input on things. So, hey, Rob, what do you say?
I'm disappointed. I forgot to mention anything about Wayne's World. Fuck. Oh, well. Let's do it.
Game on.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Around the board.
Hi.
What's up, everybody? This is Around the Boards, episode 27, about to start here. Joined here with my good friends, as always, Robby and Dylan Duncan. Fellas, say hello.
You already did. Hi. You can say hi again. What?
Huh?
Hey.
So, we got quite a few things to talk about.
Good episode.
Yes, good episode. Stacked here. We got an awesome interview coming up here in period 3.
The Gatekeeper, Jeff Osborn.
That is right. So stay tuned.
Blackhawks Down.
Stay tuned for that. And but first, obviously, like everything does here in the hockey world, it starts with period 1, right? So let's get into it. Here we are back to start the period, to start the game. Puck drop. That's right. So a few episodes ago, we were talking about the goalie interference. I believe it was just Rob and I that time. I don't believe Dunk was around.
Episode 25. You want to look in the archives?
That's right.
25.
So we were talking about goalie interference. Cool thing was, as soon as we got done talking about that, the GM meeting happened, and they happened to be talking about goalie interference. And this is what I have learned from them and what has happened and what they talked about there at the meeting. So anyways, the GMs, they just end up wrapping up a 3-day long meeting thing there they had in Florida. And
it sounds like you researched this a lot.
I did. And so the GMs now want all of the goalie interference decisions to come from the Situation Room in Toronto. And in Toronto, in the Situation Room, there will be a retired referee who is part of the NHL officiating management team and will be included in the process to determine if it was goalie interference or not. So they don't want the call to be taken to be the ref's call on the ice. All the GMs agreed to have it be from the Situation Room, from somebody who's not, right there, I guess, in a way. What do you guys think about that?
I think they're looking for consistency, except for when you get to the kicker, which is
the fact that it's not going to be the same retired referee every day.
So it's still going to be different guys looking at different plays, and you're still going to get some of the same problems, I think, is how I feel about it, instead of just having have a committee of like 10 guys or whatever, always in there, or always on call or whatever, and just look at it, rotate guys in and out for days off or whatever you want to fucking do, but have the same initial core group of people in there so the same calls get made for the same games and you don't have this bullshit.
Right.
I think just have Pierre Maguire be the judge of it.
Well, then Jonathan Toews is going to score every game.
Or Sidney Crosby. But no, it's just, I feel like whoever this group of guys are that's going to be in charge of this, these retired referees, like they got to all get together, and it's got to be day and night difference on what they think it is, what they think is a call, for goalie interference and what isn't goalie interference.
So
like
here's
they
my thing.
really
So
like hold on, like they really need to they really need to review the rule that's in the rule book. Cuz that seems to be the thing most recently is all these GM or all these coaches coming out and saying, "We're not sure what goalie interference is anymore because it states right here in the rule book that is this, but you called it on the ice saying that it's a good goal when it shouldn't have been."
in regards to the them reviewing the rules and whatever, they're mostly going to be retired referees and retired NHL people, right? Correct. Most likely. So when did they retire? Did they retire 20 years ago when the rules were different? Did they retire?
If referees retired 20 years ago, they'd probably be dead by now.
Okay, but anyways, so did they retire yesterday? Did they retire 10 years ago?
It's got to be the same people that rewrite that are involved with the rules.
I just think personal biases might come into effect if it's a referee that's not been in a referee situation for 10 years.
That's why you have a group of them and come to a total agreement.
Right, because I think they're also kind of rewriting the rule too, because it came out also that the NHL Players Association reviewed the changes with the committee, with the competition committee, and they've approved the changes. So there's got to be some type of rule change that's going to go into effect there, so everyone is on the same page, I guess, in a way. But I still think it's still going to be lopsided.
I wouldn't be surprised if you open the rule book and there wouldn't be any rules there for goalie interference. That's what it seems like right now.
Right.
There's no rules.
It's just the Wild West in the
Put your shirt back on. There's one rule.
There's one rule.
No,
anyway,
but
I'm tired of just talking about goal interference. What else you got?
No, so that seems to be the biggest one that they talked about recently with their GM meeting. So because the NHL Player Association did review it and did agree to it, they are saying that it's going to take place in the beginning of the Stanley Cup playoffs next month. That's when the Situation Room is going to be live with taking over the goalie interference calls.
Which is kind of weird because you think they'd have like a dry run or something to.
Right, but I feel like if they did it now and towards the end of the season, where these calls can make or break someone's playoff run, what I mean?
It's going to make the playoffs super hard to watch, though. I think because every single goal is going to be, was it goaltender interference? Which it should be because it's the playoffs, but also like it's going to be like NFL where they review every single touchdown. Yeah. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there's a way they speed it up and stuff like that, where it's like, of course, it's
right. But then
every
again,
time a goalie falls down, they're going to say, "Well, was he knocked down?" Ugh.
Right.
But you want the call to be right, but you just don't want them to fucking take 10 minutes.
Right.
So, I don't know. Whatever. I'm done talking about this.
Anyways, another thing they talked about was the offside rule changes. There was no support there from the GM. So moving on from that, also it was noted that
Aren't you gonna ask us how we feel about that?
No, I mean there was no support to it, so why do I care what you guys
get rid
think
of
about?
offsides? Have it be like roller hockey.
Someone just cherry picking the whole time.
No offsides, no icing. Fuck it.
No 2-line pass, anymore, and then no icing and no. Anyways,
yeah, just slowly get rid of all the lines.
Imagine 3-on-3 overtime with no offsides and no icing.
Just have one cherry picker on each side of the ice.
So, anyways, another thing too that were mentioned was head hits were down, but boarding is up. So,
you know how I feel about that?
How do you feel about that?
I feel like guys see the hit coming and start turning their back and make it look like they don't see the hit coming to try to draw a penalty. That's how I feel.
Sure.
I'm almost, this might sound weird. I don't know how to word it, but I'm almost fine with boarding. Like, I feel like the boards are there for a reason. You should get hit into them, Like, if they're going to make an issue out of something, it should be head hits, not boards, Like,
yeah.
But the boards are there for a reason.
You can still hit your head on the boards and cause damage, but
yeah, well,
the boards have a lot more give unless you're like falling down, like crank your neck, hitting the boards and the ice at the same time.
The boards have a lot more give than the human elbow. So
yeah,
true.
But I don't know. I feel like boarding is so weird because the boards are there for a reason, But also checking from behind is more of an issue than boarding, I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So moving on. It was also noted that if Seattle gets approved for a team, they will obviously get the same expansion draft rules as Vegas just recently did.
So that means they're also going to win their division, right?
Possibility.
So if they get the same expansion rules, then so what is Vegas going to do? Because they just got all those players.
No, Vegas is exempt from the draft.
Exempt. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So
hashtag Seattle Seabrooks.
Could you imagine if Vegas had to give up all the players they just got?
They only lose one player. Every team will lose one player.
Yeah, right. Every team.
They probably lose three.
Is it one? I thought it was like a group of 3 people or 3 players.
No, every team loses one player unless you make trades.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah. I think they put up on a list like what 3 or 2 players they can take. I think it was Dylan.
You can take as many players, or you take more than
a
group of 1 to 3.
But
you can hold
but the teams could protect.
Yeah, you submit a list of players that are off limits, and then you submit. Yeah,
we just went over this in the last offseason.
Yeah,
last offseason.
How do you guys not know how the expansion draft works when it just happened?
It happened a long time ago.
What's
He's
the
saying
point
that it's going to be the same rules for expansion draft.
Okay, that's fine.
Right. So,
which means they're being a competitive team at least. So that's good. That's good for everybody.
Exactly. But
it means that every NHL team besides Vegas is going to lose one more quality third, fourth, maybe second liner.
And another thing that happened coming back, salary cap is on the rise. The current cap ceiling right now is at $75 million. It is expected to rise anywhere between $78 and $82 million.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
So it's going to double?
No. What?
So it's gonna go up to 70. Hold on. What? Oh, okay.
The cap ceiling right now is at $75 million.
I misheard you. Yes, sorry.
I was like, what? Double?
Forgive you.
Salary cap right now is 75. Next year is gonna be 180 million.
So it's gonna go up to at least. It's gonna go up to at most 78 million.
82 million. So moving on now from that one. Here was a little miscellaneous discussion that came up, and I thought this was pretty interesting. But there was no takers from the GMs on this. And the thought was, say you take a penalty from period 1 towards the end, say you have a minute, you took a penalty at 19 minutes, right?
Yes.
And then the penalty carries over into the second period. They were discussing about having an offensive zone face-off to start the period.
How do you feel about that, Doug?
If that penalty carries over. Interesting. I thought it was interesting.
How do you feel?
No, I think it should say center ice because
that's what all the GMs thought.
The offensive zone only happens at the beginning of the power play, and then anytime the goalie freezes in the defensive zone. Yeah. It's not like every face-off here on out is going to be. No,
it's not like if your goalie covers the puck. Oh, let's have the face-off in the offensive zone again because you're on the power play.
Yeah, no, I
that's
think
kind of cheap.
Normal. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what all the other GMs agreed with too. They said, well, you had your chance with the one face-off there,
right?
So
face-offs are so hit or miss anyways nowadays. Like there's. Everyone, it's 50% almost every time now. It's even the best face-off guys in the league are only about 55% anyways. So.
Yeah.
So one last thing, wanted to get your guys' input on this too. Seemed to be the talk around the NHL a lot recently too. Is playoff format change. So they're talking about the format change possibly because adding an extra team from Vegas and everything like that. They were also, I think they're trying to improve, just the clash of these division rivals and everything like that to be in the playoffs, and to add it's
kind of how it is already, I think.
Right, but then again, there's also other things. For instance, because these teams are getting so good and these divisions are getting so tight and the race is so close, like there's going to be a good team that might not even make the playoffs. You know what I'm saying here? So for instance, right, your guys' Pacific Division is so freaking tight, and there's so many teams. So say here's this one team, it's like, God, it's
how you make the playoffs? Be better than the other fucking teams.
Right.
Why would you?
Right, and that's the argument there.
From the other teams.
Right, and that's the argument there is that you're fighting these guys 82 games out of the season.
Win more games if you want to make the playoffs.
Exactly. I mean, I guess I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, because they just recently changed it, 5 years ago?
Maybe if they have 5 more teams in expansion to get more percentage of the teams in the playoff.
Right.
Balance like that.
Right. And that was a different thing they were talking about too, is having more teams in the playoffs. Having more than 50% of the league.
Yeah, but right now it's already a 4-round
right.
tournament.
And you have brutal. And you have a total of 16 teams making it to the playoffs right now.
Good math.
So it's like
8 plus 8
is 16. 8 times 2 is 16.
I think it should be less.
Interesting.
No,
please touch on that more.
The way it is right now.
Bring it down to 10.
Bring it down to 10?
Yeah.
No. How do you have 10? Have one team have a first round bye?
Anyways, that's enough. Let's get to the second period. What do you guys say? That's the end of the first period. Here we go. So, a little bit of nonsense here in this period coming up.
This period's already here.
Yeah, this period's already just begun.
Intermission anymore.
That's right.
Intermissions last 10 seconds.
That's right. Not like 20 minutes. So,
15.
The Buffalo Buttes lost in the Isabel Cup today to the Metropolitan Riveters.
I wish everyone could see what I just saw. Just listening to this.
Very unfortunate for the Buffalo Buttes there, and
very unfortunate for Dunk because he just totally checked out of this conversation.
And our guest that was on our podcast a while ago, Colleen. Sorry for the Buffalo Buttes, and I guess congratulations to the Metropolitan Riveters. So,
how do you feel about that, Dunk?
It sucks for them.
Yeah.
How do you really feel about it, Dunk? Let it all off your chest right now.
I don't have any opinions other than the fact that I don't know why Dez is still milking this.
I'm not milking anything. It's in the news, It's in this.
It's definitely in the news. You're right.
It is. It sucks. Sucks for them, but
it does.
Anyways,
sorry that you lost in the championship game.
Yeah.
Sorry, Colleen. You're our friend, but
we'll have to have
how many teams are in that league?
4.
Like 6. Oh shit! Original 4.
That's right.
The original 4.
Right. The original 4.
I just love Dunk's face when he first started talking. Just, here we go again.
No, I don't mind talking about it. It's just, we can talk about other teams and other players in that league. We don't have to talk about the same one.
Dez's favorite team is the Buffalo Buttes. He's more of a Buttes fan than he is a Rangers fan.
I went and saw him, so it was cool.
I'm aware. It
was cool.
I went and saw Rob play a couple weeks ago too. Don't see me talking about that.
Talk about it.
Yeah, you can talk about it right here.
What's your team called? Desert Storm?
Desert Storm. We won.
They won.
Desert Storm. What does your jerseys look like?
It's got a camel on it.
It's like the Mighty Ducks logo, but instead of duck mask, it's a camel in an army helmet.
Interesting.
It's pretty cool. I scored a goal that game too, Dunk. I scored 2 maybe.
Did you?
Scored 2 goals. Yeah.
Nice.
I scored a lot of goals. I forget how they go.
Almost had the Hattie.
Do you play forward or defense?
I play defense.
Plays wherever they need him to.
I'm the Dustin Bufflin of my team.
Oh, snap.
That's a little foreshadowing for this interview we got going up. We're going to talk about him a little bit. But
did anybody see that crazy goal that Sidney Crosby had the other night?
I did.
Those wild and crazy guys.
Wild. That guy.
Des, you play hockey, right?
Yeah.
You would rather play forward or defense?
I'd rather play forward.
Why? Can you skate backwards?
I can skate backwards, but thank you.
Are you fast?
Am I fast forward? Or I could beat John.
Head down?
I could beat John.
Everyone skates with the head down.
That's true. If I practiced at it more and whatever, I would want to be defense more than forward.
Yeah, it's
or I like more responsibility.
I like it better because you get more ice time because nobody ever wants to play defense.
To be honest, I want to play goalie because I used to play goalie a lot when all of us would play street hockey, except the goalie equipment's just so freaking expensive.
Yeah, but nobody else plays goalie, so I mean.
I know, but I would love to, and the problem with me is because I'm left-handed. It's hard to find a full right set and everything like that. It sucks and it's just expensive.
Because I think almost every goalie in the NHL is left-handed. So.
What?
Is that true?
No.
The majority of them are.
Well, dude, if you're left-handed, do you wear the catching glove in your left hand or right hand?
You wear your catching glove on your right hand, and then you throw with your left.
Baseball.
Right. So then the blocker would be on my left hand.
Yeah, but how do you handle a stick?
With my left hand.
So your stick, what? Wait, no, hold on.
Wait. Yes. Okay, so your blockers. Okay, Des, you are left-handed, right?
Yes, sir.
So your blocker is on your right hand.
No, my blocker is on my left hand. I catch with my right hand.
So then you're right-handed in hockey then.
So you have a right-handed shot.
My shot.
Because your blocker hand is the hand that holds the top of your stick, which means that you're right-handed.
Yeah.
My blocker hand holds.
In hockey, do you shoot right-handed or left-handed?
My blocker hand, like Dylan says, holds the top of the stick when I'm shooting.
What hand is your blocker hand?
My left hand.
So then you're right-handed when it comes to goalie.
No.
Yes.
No.
How does this work?
No.
Okay,
No.
when you play, okay, stop.
No,
So
listen. No. Listen. So, for instance, if I'm swinging a bat, okay, all right, and I'm walking up behind the plate, I'm gonna be in the batter's box that goes right up the first baseline. Okay, I'm swinging.
That's the left-handed box.
Right. I'm swinging left-handed. Okay,
but your right hand is on the bottom.
Exactly. When I shoot a puck, it's weird. But when I shoot a puck, it's with my left hand up top and my right hand on the bottom.
So when you shoot the puck as a forward, you're right-handed.
Right. Exactly.
So as a goalie, you're a right-handed goalie.
No, as a goalie, I'm a left-handed goalie.
No, it's not. It doesn't switch for goalie. It's the same thing.
It's like a right-handed shot. Like if you bought a goalie stick, you'd buy a right-handed stick.
Well, yes. And we're back here with our interview of the day. This is Jeff Osborn. Jeff, say hello.
The Gatekeeper.
The Gatekeeper.
There you go.
Hello, folks. How you doing, guys?
Good. How are you, man?
Well, I'm hanging in there, man.
Good.
Are you better?
The way this season's going, it's been insufferable. So,
are you doing better today than the Blackhawks were doing all season?
I am. Yeah, they're not
personally.
Yeah, I am.
I think Dylan can agree with you too, since he's a Red Wings fan.
Wait, I can agree that I'm doing better. I'm doing good. That the Blackhawks aren't. What?
Yeah, I think that's what he meant. I don't know.
Something like that.
Oh, we did just sign a Dylan today, so maybe not this Dylan, but we did sign a Dylan.
No, it was me.
No,
that's him. That's him. You signed him.
It was me.
He's not very good at hockey either, so he'll
Perfect
fit right
fit
in.
The Blackhawks, yeah.
No offense.
So Jeff, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do?
Yeah, my name is Jeff, otherwise known as Gatekeeper or Gate or whatever.
Gator Jeff.
Yeah, Gator Jeff. I work at the-rink.com. It's a website that was started with me and another local Chicago blogger who used to work over at Hockey Buzz named John Jekyll. They got a hold of us, and I was running my own site. He was running his own stuff over at Hockey Buzz. And they asked us if we wanted to join forces and start this new hockey culture website based out of Chicago, or starting in Chicago. And then maybe working around the league, starting from the top with, the Blackhawks, then working down with the Ice Hogs and the Indy Ice, which is their ECHL affiliate. And then also working on prospects. And then we also have Coach Bob Rose, he's a skills coach that works with several other skills coaches in Toronto and Chicago area. And he provides some little, we call them knowledge nuggets videos, which are kind of like skill videos, just little 30 to 40 second clips of, how to make your game better. So we're kind of all over the map with, just hockey from top to bottom. And we're going to eventually probably work our way around the league with different chapters, but we started in Chicago. That's where we were strongest. So we've kind of been rolling since about the beginning of November, and things have been going pretty well.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
And now you're on this podcast.
I know, this is the pinnacle right here.
Things are looking up for you.
Wow. So obviously it's we all know the Blackhawks season has been a rough one so far.
To say the least, yeah.
To say the least. What in your thoughts of this, what went wrong this season?
Humble opinion. Very humble opinion. I'm not outspoken at all. Well, I mean, a lot of this we've seen coming, or at least anyone with half a brain in this fan base has seen kind of this coming. Everyone's getting older. Contracts. Some Bowman really didn't set himself up very well with the contracts. He kind of gave a lot of people money that he shouldn't have, probably more out of loyalty than necessity. And you have contracts like Brent Seabrook, who he's my favorite player on the Blackhawks, but the contract that he got, there's just unexcusable. And really there's he's had to sell on a lot of young players like Teuvo Teravainen to get rid of. What's that?
Brandon Saad the first time.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was
Ryan Hartman.
That was another thing altogether. But, they got Teravainen. Teravainen's actually turned out to be a pretty good player. He wasn't doing so hot here, when he started in Chicago, but he was young, and he needed to grow into his skill set. But now he's doing really good, and Carolina, but he had to throw Teravainen into that deal to get rid of Bickle's contract, and he kind of had to do the same thing to get rid of Patrick Sharp the first time around. He threw in Steven Johns, who is now a regular player with Dallas. So he's had to really unload some young players just to get out from under some of these undesirable contracts. So
you're saying the first mistake was signing the people to the contracts, and then you compound the mistake by getting rid of young players to get rid of the bad contracts that he signed them to.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, really, the signing the contracts might not necessarily be the first mistake, but it's the amount of money that he dedicated to these players. Now, Bickle, you couldn't have really predicted that he's going to be diagnosed with what he was diagnosed with.
Yeah.
Right. So, but still, the bottom line was everyone in the fan base was resorted to the fact that Brian Bickle was probably going to he had probably priced himself out of Chicago and was going to be let go. And instead, they signed him to an overpriced extension, which he then never was able to live up to, and handicapped them in several ways. And that was just one example of things. Now you have Brent Seabrook, who is probably making $2 million more than he should be, and he's probably got about 5 additional years on his deal that he shouldn't have.
Jesus,
that's not so bad.
Yeah. And you're never going to get rid of him. No team's going to take that deal. I mean, you would have to throw in literally Alex DeBrincat or the newly signed Dylan Sakura or some big prospect and maybe a draft pick to get rid of it. And then he's just not going to do it. Luckily, the cap seems to be going up this year a considerable amount. So, and they're going to be able to unload. They might be able to unload some other deals. So they could possibly clear up $10-12 million worth of space if they work themselves in properly. But who knows?
Who do you think is going to take up the Seabrook contracts?
No one. I honestly think he's stuck in Chicago until there's a compliance buyout. I think they may be, there may be a lockout in 2 years. Mm-hmm. So you may be looking at a compliance buyout situation or something of that nature, or he may just retire because they won't be stuck with the cap or capture of his because the deal was signed under the new CBA.
Right.
So yeah, he's either going to retire or there's going to be a compliance buyout situation with him. I think that's the only way that they're going to be able to get out from under that deal. If Detroit wants him, you can have him.
Yeah. Detroit, you want him?
Yeah.
No, I know all about bad contracts too. So
and old guys.
And old guys. Red Wings had made a history of doing that over the past.
Yeah. We've actually, since we took Scotty Bowman on and Stan Bowman on, I think we've kind of taken that on as well.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
I think Mike Modano's still free agent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go sign Mike Modano. He's probably available somewhere.
So you mentioned Dylan Sakura. They just signed him to a 2-year contract. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. He got signed today, but basically what they're going to do is they're going to bring him in. He's probably going to, from what I've read today, they're probably going to play him on Thursday. He's going to make his debut. Mm-hmm. He'll burn a year off of his entry-level contract, which is kind of one of the incentives that they offer to players, where they come in, play a couple of games, it burns a whole year off your contract, and you become a restricted free agent 1 year earlier. So he'll do that. He'll play, the last, 7 games they've got left,
right?
Or 6 games to finish the season. And then,
it's like a tryout for next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
They've got a couple guys that are kind of doing that. Victor Etzel, who was required in the Ryan Hartman deal, he was just called up today on an emergency basis, and he's like a 6'5", a little bit on the thin side, maybe possibly a future replacement for Artem Anisimov.
Mm-hmm.
So he's another guy who's going to kind of get a tryout. He just finished his year in the Swedish league. So he came over, played 2 games in the AHL, and now he's been called up. So I guess they're going to try and see what they have in some of these young players.
What do they have in Corey Crawford?
That's a good question. There's been a lot of scuttlebutt.
Favorite word?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's been out since before Christmas. He went out like the 23rd of December. He wasn't heard from for 28 days.
Like was he on vacation?
What's that?
Was he on vacation?
I don't know. No one will tell us.
So maybe
like even Joel Quenneville had not spoken with him, which seems a little sketchy to me. But
that's salty.
Yeah. So no one had actually really talked to him. And then after 28 days, he miraculously made an appearance at United Center. They said that, they weren't sure of a timetable. They're going to try and get him out on the ice. And they got him out on the ice for a couple days. They flew him to Arizona for a road trip. He was going to skate with the team out there, but not in a game. And then he had a setback and he has not been on the ice since. They say he's suffering from post-concussion syndrome. It may or may not have been the result of what happened when Malkin kneed him in the head accidentally. And
air quotes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It may or may not have been, but whatever it was, this team has clearly shown that, Corey Crawford is maybe more important to this team than maybe some of the meatball fans in Chicago had given him credit for.
Sure.
Because look what's going on right now. I mean, this is not pretty in net for the Blackhawks.
I may be one of those meatball fans because I just, for all of Corey Crawford's career, pretty much, I just always thought he was overrated and not very good. And it was just based on Chicago's defense and their whole system that any goalie could thrive.
Some of that was true, some of it not. There was a very good defense. In 2015, if you look at the underlying stats, their defense was not all that good. They ran on basically 4 really good defensemen, and that was it for the entire playoffs. And Crawford, he had a bad first round versus the Predators, and Scott Darling kind of came in and helped them out. But what a lot of people forget is that Scott Darling kind of faltered at the end of that series, and Corey Crawford came into that last game and bailed him out, and then ran the table the rest of the playoffs. So I've always been a big Crawford fan. He was frustrating early in his career. He would give up a lot of he would give up like 1 soft goal per game, but he's kind of calmed himself down, and the stats lately, like the past couple of years, you've really seen how he's kind of held this team together. Last year, their stats really, they had a lot of points in the regular season, but they had a lot of 1-goal wins and overtime wins. And when it came down to it, the Preds just came in and were a faster team and tougher team. And they just schooled the Blackhawks in that first round and made them look silly. So, I mean, that's kind of where they stand with that. I mean, if he doesn't come back, and if there's for some reason, like he can't play, they're in trouble.
For a long time?
Well, they're for at least the immediate future, because they don't have really anyone in the pipeline as far as goalie goes, and there aren't really a whole lot of free agent goalies that are going to come out in to Chicago right now. If you look at the free agent list to save this team, the free agent list is pretty ugly. So,
well, Ben Scrivens is available. I'm pretty sure he's solid.
He might have to fight Anton Forsberg and Jean-Francois Berube.
I love that guy.
Something.
Former Kings prospect.
Yeah. I was actually high on Berube. I thought he was going to be better than he was, but he wasn't.
Yeah, well, that's what the Kings thought too. That's why they let him go to, I think, the Islanders, or somebody picked him up on waivers or something like that.
Yeah, I think they tried to put him. I think the story was they tried to send him down. The Islanders picked him up on waivers, and then the Islanders they had him as their third goalie, but didn't want to send him down because they didn't want to lose him on waivers.
Yeah,
they basically sat as the third goalie and didn't play last year.
Yeah, because they didn't want to lose him, and then they lost him anyway. So
yeah,
we talked about the Islanders a couple of weeks ago, and they told us the whole story about that. It was pretty interesting.
yeah, it's a weird story,
but at least Chicago, at least they're set with Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews for like the next 6 years still, aren't they?
Well, Kane's all right. I mean, Toews is okay. Toews is a good player, but yeah,
sure. Worth $10 million a year.
Yeah, not for $10 million a year. I mean, that was a loyalty thing. He won 3 cups for him. All the stuff. That was really a loyalty thing. But he could. I mean, we mentioned Kopitar earlier, and he's had a resurgence after a couple down years. Jonathan Toews could very well do the same thing. I'm not saying he's going to, but it's very possible it could happen. So,
everyone in Kingsland just blames Kopitar's struggles on Daryl Sutter in that system of just playing 200 foot of defense. So, new coaching staff allows Kopitar to thrive and to carry the puck and shoot a lot more.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And the funny part about that is with all the quote unquote scuttlebutt that I mentioned earlier, with, the fan base would scream about, you got to fire Quenneville, you got to fire Bowman, you got to fire both, whatever.
Sound like Des.
The name that comes up sometimes, or maybe more often,
Daryl Sutter,
Elaine Vigneault.
Actually both. Yeah,
that's my AV. Des will trade him for you for
in a heartbeat.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I may take Vigneault more than Sutter. I don't know. We've had Sutter once already, and
I like Sutter. He's a good guy.
He's okay. Yeah,
he's a good coach for 2 or 3 years, and then the system kind of gets old, and you start losing games, and then you lose your team. And
I mean, we've been spoiled here in Chicago, and I'll be the first to admit it. We've been completely spoiled. I mean, almost 10 straight years of just being one of the top teams in the league. This was going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah,
it was like Detroit with Babcock, right, Dunk?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that. I mean, even Des can attest this too, being from the team or being a fan of a team that's been traditionally good for, I mean, the Red Wings for almost 30 years now. The Blackhawks and Rangers a little bit shorter than that, but I don't know. What do you think? How long do you think it's going to be before they maybe even make the playoffs again? Do you think it'll be a quick turnaround next year? Do you think it's going to be a 5-year?
It's all based on Corey Crawford.
Yeah, like what do you think what's the next step in order to get back to where they need to be?
Well, that was an excellent point. Corey Crawford. It is all based on Corey Crawford. Yeah. If Corey Crawford cannot play next year, and there's no reason necessarily to think that he can't, but with a head injury, you have to be careful because it does end people's careers. It's not his first concussion. It's been a long time since he's seen the ice. So it has to be in the back of everyone's mind. But if Corey Crawford is able to come back next year, and we're all just going to assume right now that he's going to be able to come back. They have players like Dylan Sakura, which we don't know what we're going to have because we don't know what he's going to look like against NHL competition, and Victor Edsel, who we don't know what he's going to look like against NHL competition, but we do have, Alex DeBrincat, who's had, a better year than I expected him to have. Brandon Saad is not going to shoot as, low as his shot all year long. And his underlying numbers as well, have been pretty well. He just has not scored. He's still got plenty of assists, and he almost has as many goals as Artemi Panarin has, but he just doesn't have as many assists. So we got to assume that a 25-year-old with his pedigree is going to have somewhat of a bounce back year next year. And if they can unload some salary, they've got, Nick Schmaltz. You're going to unload some of the old guys like Patrick Sharp. They could very easily make the playoffs next year if they play their cards right. But they've already made a couple questionable moves going forward, and which really doesn't indicate what direction they're really going in.
Are you talking about Ryan Hartman?
Well, Ryan Hartman was I don't know. They investigated because they thought maybe they were going to get, they were selling high on him. Okay. And he had a down year. There were some behind the scenes things that seemed to possibly be some drama behind the scenes.
Talking about locker room issues?
Well,
talking about Evander Kane and Winnipeg issues or what?
Sort of. He seemed to have kind of a chip on his shoulder, and it's been floated that possibly some of his family members may have been causing some issues with being very outspoken against Joel Quenneville, and it was starting to cause some problems. I guess, they got a first-round draft pick out of him, which is what he was, and they got a prospect out of him. You don't know what you're going to get out of that first-round draft pick right now, but they got a pretty good return as far as if you watch what, Buffalo got for Evander Kane, Blackhawks got a pretty good return for Ryan Hartman. So, but I mean, the things that going back, the things that I was kind of talking about was the defense. I mean, the defense is pretty bad this year, and it's a lot of young players. Connor Murphy hasn't really done what they thought he might do. They've had players like Eric Gustafsson and Jan Ruda and Jordan Osterley, who was a cast off from Edmonton. Those guys are okay. They're all right. But signing Jan Ruda, who is, was his first year in the NHL. He missed probably 15 games with injury, coming right out and offering him a $2.3 million contract after he's only played like 60 games in the NHL. And they weren't great, but they weren't terrible. He was just an average defenseman. But you just throw $2.3 million at him for next year. Now the defense is crowded, and so if they upgrade with a free agent, what are they going to do with some of these guys that are on one-way contracts? It just doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me.
They could package them together with Brent Seabrook and then go all in for Erik Karlsson.
If anyone wants those guys, you're more than welcome to take them.
I want the Rangers to get them just so they have Mark Stoll and Brent Seabrook taking up like half of their salary.
That's nice.
So you think a year to 2 years max they could probably turn around if they figure things out contractually and with the younger players and stuff.
And if Corey Crawford isn't
that too.
Yeah. They could very well return back to the playoffs next year if everything works out all right.
As good as the West is getting, you think?
Yeah. With their division.
Yeah, because there's like 3 teams that aren't good in the West and everyone else is good. So
one of them's Arizona, and Arizona's not going to be good for a long time, Des. Yeah. All right, Des.
Yeah, okay.
You're listening, Des?
Yes.
Yeah, but you know what? I think a lot of people said that about the Avalanche too, and they're not too bad this year.
Yeah, they came out of nowhere
1 year.
That's true.
So you got to be careful. You never know what you're going to get year to year. So
right.
Well, I think Winnipeg's going to be pretty decent for the next couple of years at least.
Yeah. You have to believe Edmonton's going to probably turn around at some point too, hopefully.
Yeah. Nashville's going to be a solid contender.
Yeah.
They already are.
Nashville, they have a wealth of riches there. They got that new kid that just finished in the KHL that's going to be able to come over now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They found a lot of surprise under the radar prospects that have turned out to be pretty well, like
Philip Forsberg.
Yeah. That was a gift.
Yeah, Philip Forsberg was given to them for free, basically.
Yeah.
And then Victor Arvidsson's pretty good too.
Yeah, Arvidsson, and it's funny. It's kind of funny to bring up Arvidsson too, because there's a prospect in the Blackhawks system who a lot of people have compared to Victor Arvidsson. He's a Swedish guy. His name's Tim Soderlund. He played really good, in international play and stuff. I don't know what he's going to be, and I'm not going to predict that he is that. He looks like a pretty good prospect, but I don't get very high on prospects until I see them play against NHL talent.
What about McDavid? How high were you on him?
I think he was a slam dunk.
Yeah, okay. Everyone was high on McDavid, I think. Like everyone was high on Crosby and Ovechkin too.
Yeah.
And Matthews. Also,
Matthews. Of course.
He's not too shabby.
No, he's come back too, so
he could be better.
So do you think any of these familiar faces for Blackhawk fans, do you think any of them are going to be gone? Like possibly any trades during the draft?
Well,
not Brent Seabrook.
Yeah, everyone, and we get this relentlessly with Blackhawks fans, is someone needs to take Brent Seabrook. They need to get Brent Seabrook, but it's like they don't realize that like someone has to want Brent Seabrook.
Right.
Well, people want him just for not what he's getting paid.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, he's become a third pair defenseman here, which is okay, but for it's $7 million or almost $7 million. That's kind of an expensive third pair defenseman.
Right.
I mean, 2-3 years ago, he was your top, when you're in your top pairing, right? So
yeah, and he actually is probably. I mean, Jonathan Toews wears the C, but Brent Seabrook is probably the most vocal leader in the locker room, and every player on the team will say that. So you're kind of paying for that as well. I don't necessarily subscribe to that, but that's you
don't like the intangibles.
Yeah, you try to make some kind of sense out of it, and
I feel like if you're going to pay him that much, then you should give him the captaincy.
Yeah. Well, he wears the A, so yeah. But yeah. I don't know. As far as trades go, Artem Anisimov has become a third line center. He doesn't really have a set spot on this team when he's not playing with Patrick Kane. So if you could unload that $4.5 million contract that they'd be stuck with for another 3 years, I guess his no movement clause goes away on July 1st. So maybe not at the draft, maybe after free agency,
right.
They may be able to get someone to take his contract. And he's got decent underlying number. Not even underlying numbers. He scored goals this year. So and he's got like 19 goals or something like that.
Right.
So he's not a bad center. He's a big guy. He could play on the power play. He's kind of slow, but some team might be able to use him. And
I've always liked Anisimov.
I don't hate the guy. It's just for $4.5 million is a third line center now. you could probably, find someone that could fill in for like, a quarter of that.
Des is probably a thing or two to say about Anisimov, huh, Des?
No, I liked him when he was on the Rangers, and I mean,
the celebrations.
Oh my God, that was hilarious when he got ejected from the game.
Yeah, I have an animated GIF of that. We were actually gonna get a T-shirt made of him making that.
It was awesome. Yeah. People started making all these memes about it and made it look like a Christmas tree ornament hanging, and it's just him with a stick and everything shooting. It was awesome. Good time.
I thought that was a great celebration.
Oh, it was. It was.
Yeah,
it was.
Everyone's too sensitive now.
Yeah, exactly.
I love so is that what the Blackhawks fan Twitter feed is full of? Is trading Seabrook?
Oh yeah, it's completely relentless. We get it all the time. We have our own podcast called the Ringcast, and we probably get a question or a comment for every podcast about unloading Seabrook's contract, and we keep trying to tell people listen, you better get used to having him on the team because he's just not going anywhere.
Right.
Is this a recent thing because of the struggles, or was it started last year? Or
it started before his actual extension kicked in.
Oh.
Yeah. As soon as he signed the extension, he still had a full another year on his previous deal, and people were already all over. I mean, it was a 7-year deal. He got $1.5 million raise per year, and he was already slightly on the decline. He's just he's got the brain, and he's got the everything from the waist up, I guess you should say. But his wheels just aren't there anymore. He's slowed down, and
that's basically what the Rangers issue was with Dan Girardi. Because he was
the same situation.
Oh yeah, it was. He's getting paid a bunch, and he can't keep up with these kids because, like you said, slowing down and everything. And then that was one of the biggest things is Rangers fans getting on Girardi and saying how they should trade Girardi and everything and all that. So I can totally relate.
And then they did.
Gotcha. Exactly. So hang in there, Jeff, and Blackhawks fans. It will happen eventually.
And now Dan Girardi will probably win a Stanley Cup. Yeah.
Listen, I'm rooting for those Tampa Bay Rangers, okay? Because they got a crap ton of Ranger players on there, ex-Rangers. So
that's my favorite unit of measurement is a crap ton.
Crap ton, yeah, I know.
Nice.
How do you measure?
Well, it's like the Carolina Blackhawks right now.
Yeah,
all the
true.
Down there.
True story. So
yeah, so that's getting back to the original question. Anisimov probably is going to be the smartest thing to get rid of, and maybe the easiest one to get rid of. They may have to try and get rid of Marian Hossa's long-term IR contract. I don't know if anyone's going to. They're going to have to sweeten that with some prospect or draft or something.
Arizona will take it just so they can reach the cap floor, probably.
Or Vegas, maybe. Vegas.
Maybe
they don't have a lot of dead weight tied up. I mean, they did take on the contract from. Colorado, I mean not Colorado. Columbus.
Callahan,
yeah. They did take some dead weight, but they can afford to take some others, and they do owe us a favor.
Broussard, I don't know what's a Callahan.
Yeah,
Broussard.
They do owe the Blackhawks a favor because we traded him Marcus Kruger for future consideration. So who knows?
I mean, Arizona might take it because Arizona took Pavel Datsyuk's contract too, essentially. So
yeah, and Hall of Famer Chris Pronger.
They take everyone's contract. As I said, that's why they're a horrible fucking team, Des. Do you understand now?
Yeah, well, they'll be coming around. Thanks.
Okay.
I think they'll turn it around next season.
Okay, sure. Oh, what, they're gonna get demoted to the AHL?
Oh.
Hey, Des, who's gonna make the playoffs first, Chicago or Arizona?
Chicago.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know.
What?
Actually, I'm actually kind of glad the Blackhawks are going to miss the playoffs because then that forces them to make some hard decisions.
Yeah,
they were kind of kicking the can down the road for a couple of years and not cleaning some things up because they could say, "Well, we made the playoffs,"
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't fix some of these underlying things. So
right.
Yeah, that's what the Red Wings did too for the longest time. Oh, we'll just sign Mike Modano or Stephen Weiss instead.
That's the missing piece.
Yeah, that's the missing piece. Or so I understand. I'm kind of glad that Wings aren't in either, so they can actually do something now.
And that's what I'm hoping is going to happen with the Rangers. Rangers don't make the playoffs. They could fire AV. Bye-bye. Because that seems to be the trending for Rangers fans is the hashtag fire AV. Because all fans want him gone.
Just you.
So, but no, that's everybody on Twitter.
Des has 500 Twitter accounts.
Maybe you should trade AV for Brent Seabrook.
Yeah. Like that makes sense. Anyways.
What if the league may take that? They may take that deal.
What if the league worked like that? You could trade coaches for players.
That's retarded.
I'm sure you could, probably. It's just contracts, right?
We're not getting.
I don't know. Maybe.
That's the dumbest discussion I've ever heard in my life.
I don't know I don't know what it's like recently. I know at one point in time you could actually do that, but
yeah,
I feel like soccer. I feel like soccer's done that before.
Probably. Anyways.
Well, the baseball does it.
Anyways. Now we're getting off topic.
Anyways.
Okay. You could have Shea Weber's contract. So he's still getting paid for like 8 more years, and like
or Rick DiPietro's contract.
So.
Or Bobby Bonilla, if you want to talk about baseball again.
Yeah, okay. Do we have anything else for Jeff?
Of course we do.
What do we got?
Bring it on.
Let me think about it.
Let me think about it.
Well, now that you mention it.
Yeah.
I heard you guys talking I think it was last podcast about the rookie of the year and everything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I heard you guys, if anyone brought up Alex DeBrincat or not.
Nope.
Good.
Yeah.
I think we were unanimously on the Barzal train.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. I was a funny story, and you guys, because you guys aren't really familiar, I'll kind of give you a little background on this. I was really hard on Alex DeBrincat. This summer I went to prospect camp, and I go to prospect camp every summer, and we watched the hype around Alex DeBrincat because he scored 1 million points in junior. And I mean, the guy's 5'6". He's like 160 pounds. He's a small guy. And I watched him out there and just against average prospects and average defensemen, they were running him off the puck. He just didn't have the wheels. He really didn't. He scored like a goal or two in prospect scrimmages. He just wasn't standing out like some of the other previous prospects had in prospect camp. So I was kind of hard on him. I'm like, this is supposed to be the savior. This is supposed to be the guy that's going to come in and save this team. He's not all that great. And, I wasn't the only one who said that maybe you should start the year in the AHL. And he started off really slow. And then he once he started to pick things up and figure it out, he really kind of ran away with things. But so I get a lot of good-natured ribbing about my quote unquote hatred for Alex DeBrincat, but that was what he showed. And now he's shown that he's a better player. He's got 3 hat tricks, which is a rookie record for the Blackhawks. And, he's still 20 years old. So,
well, every young player is always under the microscope though, too. So it's like, whether it's him, even Crosby when he was younger, McDavid when he was younger, or still young, but yeah. Everyone kind of gets abused like that too, because they're expected to be the savior of their team. If they don't perform,
Yeah, for sure. And really, Joel Quenneville has sheltered him most of the year. He's played mostly on the third line, so he's getting favorable matchups. Then he gets on the power play, so he's gotten which to Quenneville's credit on that. I mean, he put him in a position to succeed, so that's great. But he hasn't always been that good with young players. So
no, I'm the same way with like Dylan Larkin too. I mean, Robby can attest that too. I give Larkin crap all the time. So it's
yeah, I don't know why.
I don't know.
We had the conversation. I was like, "Oh, Zetterberg's talking about like retiring or something," and they're saying that Larkin could be the next captain. He said, "Nope, I don't want that. Nope." I said, "What?
Not yet."
So that's the best player in your team.
He's no Darren Helm.
Yeah, exactly. He's no Jonathan Erickson.
Yeah. I will say, you guys are probably expecting more Red Wings hate out of me, but I think I like Andreas Athanasiou. I think that guy's
bless you.
Some wheels on him. I would have taken him if Detroit didn't want him. He's got some wheels on him.
Once he finally fixed his off ice stuff and his attitude and stuff's kind of changed, and now he's kind of turning around. So I think and then I like Anthony Mantha too. So
everyone except for Larkin.
No, I like Larkin too. I don't think he's ready to. I've watched more Red Wings games than you have, and I don't think he's ready for the C yet. So
I watch 2 a year whenever they play the Kings.
Yeah, right.
And you guys, and Detroit's got Blackhawks legend Trevor Daley too. Right?
Yeah, he's our number one right now. So he's actually lighting it up. He's scored a few goals over the past few games. So
Yeah, that was another mishandling here in Chicago, the Trevor Daley situation. But
what about Dustin Byfuglien?
Well, he priced himself out of the Chicago. Really, at that point in time, they had to. They weren't going to afford him anyway. So
when they're still playing him as forward, though,
they were playing him everywhere he would go. Anywhere.
Yeah, they did play him at forward at that point in time. But I mean, the defense at that time was actually really good. That's 2010. So you had Hjalmarsson at the height of his power or close to. Seabrook was really good.
Brian Campbell was there, right?
Brian Campbell was there. So that's a top four right there. And then I think they had like Nick Boynton and someone else at the third pair. But you don't want to play Dustin Byfuglien as your third pair guy.
No.
If you could put him out there on the third line as a banger and a crasher in front of the net. I mean, just ask any Vancouver Canuck fan, and they'll tell you about the nightmares that he gave him in that series.
Yeah, you watch Byfuglien play now. He just kind of goes on wherever he wants on the ice. He doesn't even really play defense. He just skates up the ice and comes back. And
he's like a natural freak. Like he's like 270 pounds, and he can still keep up with all these fast kids. So
he's basically Erik Karlsson, but he's physical. So
yeah. He's just one of those guys you're gonna rarely see with that size and speed and power. So it's unfortunate, but the Blackhawks have had to do this with a lot of guys. Like Andrew Ladd, they had to let go, and he was really good in Winnipeg for a while, and then he's kind of fallen off the map. But there's a lot of like Michael Frolik in Calgary and
Andrew Shaw.
Yeah,
Are you not a big Shaw guy?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Andrew Shaw guy. I was like, let him go because he's way too much money, and really Ryan Hartman replaced him for a lot less.
No, it's crazy now that you're naming off all these guys, and you don't even realize how many guys were on the Blackhawks when they were in their prime, and now they're kind of playing somewhere else. Like I don't know, maybe that's just me from an outsider's perspective, but
yeah, the roster turnover is actually incredible if you look at it over the years. How many times they've had to like flip this roster over and bring in young guys or bring in like free agents like Artemi Panarin. And they got really lucky on a lot of them. Like Panarin, no one knew that Panarin was going to be like as good as he was. And then like Antti Raanta, they brought him in. Scott Darling, he was a nobody. And even Ray Emery, they brought him in as a backup goalie, and he was washed up.
Well, Scott Darling is still a nobody. I don't know if
I'm not going to disagree with you on. I thought he got way more credit than he deserved, and I was like, let him go, man, because there was a point last summer where a lot of people thought that the Blackhawks may try to get Crawford to he has a partial no trade and try to get rid of him, get out from under that $6 million contract and keep a Darling at half the price. And that was a scary point. Yeah.
That's
I was
like
kind of okay with Darling. I mean, the organization likes that hometown thing, which is, Ryan Hartman and half the roster, Vinny Hinostroza, Scott Darling. They like to bring in these hometown guys so that they can, pump them up to the fan base. This is the hometown guy, and kind of distracts you from some of the other things. And Scott Darling was a prime example of that.
Yeah, no, that's a no-go for me. I don't know about you, but
no, they can Carolina can keep him for that, especially for the price that they paid for him.
Yeah, exactly. So, who would you say would be your favorite player on the Blackhawks right now?
Well, I mean, I've got a Seabrook jersey, but that was I bought that in like 2013
when they're winning cups.
Yeah, I still like him a lot, but I understand why he's not worth the money, and I'm pretty practical when it comes to that stuff. I was a big Brandon Saad fan before he left. I almost bought one of his jerseys when right before they traded him away, because that was kind of unexpected at the last minute. I was a Panarin fan, and they got rid of him. So it seems like every guy that I pick.
You like everybody that's cheap enough for you.
Yeah. Right.
Once they start paying them big bucks, then you're not a fan of them anymore.
A big Corey Crawford fan for a while. I mean, I don't know right now. I mean, you're not going to see me in an Alex DeBrincat jersey, and the Chicago fan base will laugh at that comment because I still get crap about all the time about. I bet I'm going to have to buy one of those jerseys.
Just buy the jersey. That's the cheap way out.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, actually. But I mean, Nick Schmaltz is all right. I like Nick Schmaltz.
He's all right. Yeah, these guys are okay. I mean, they're guys. I like them.
Yeah, I don't know that I necessarily have a guy that really stands out for me. I like I said, I still think Brandon Saad's gonna make a comeback, and he's going to shut a lot of people up because just it seems like it was a storm of a lot of things going bad, including Corey Crawford missing half the season.
Right.
So
I never even knew about him missing or being gone for that long. I never even heard that story.
Yeah, he was actually no one had actually spoken to him. Like they would ask Quenneville, and he'd be like, "I haven't spoken to him since he was put on LTIR."
Like there's like contractual things like that shouldn't be allowed. You know, I don't know.
It was just very weird, and they've still been weird about it. Like they should have just sat him down and said, "You know what? That's it. The end of the season. You know, it's a head injury. What are we going to do? Throw you in there? You get one shot to the head, and then maybe your career's over. Why don't you just sit him down? It's a lost season anyway." They still, to this day, have not said, "You know what? We're just going to sit him down for the rest of the season." If they thought that they could play him for the last game of the season, they would do it.
They're trying to sell tickets.
It doesn't make. It's a lost cause at this point in time. No one's going to buy tickets just to see him.
So as we're kind of coming to a close here, do you have any other predictions outside of the Blackhawks as what's going to happen for the next couple weeks, months, I guess?
I don't know, man. I'm as much as I hate the Preds, they look good.
Basically, I'm asking, who do you think's going to win the Stanley Cup?
Yeah, my preseason predictions didn't go over so well. I said Edmonton and
Detroit.
No, yeah. I would never go that far, but I actually said I want to see Washington win a cup just because I want Ovi to win a cup because he's a good player, and he's gonna always have that stink on him that he can't win a cup.
Right.
He's one of the best goal scorers the NHL's ever seen, and I'd like to see him get a cup just so people shut up. But I don't think he's gonna win a cup this year. But I don't know. I mean, right now I'm teetering between maybe the Preds making it back to the finals and winning, or Tampa Bay. I mean,
not Vegas.
Tampa's a tough team. You know what? Vegas is good. They're a good story, but I have this weird feeling that once the playoffs hit,
they're losing.
The game gets so much heavier in the playoffs, and the Blackhawks definitely showed last year that if you're not a heavy team, you're a perimeter team. When the playoffs come around, you're gonna get pushed around, and you're gonna be out of the playoffs. They're just not gonna have the depth and the stamina with this ragtag team. The story's gonna end in like the second round for them.
But they got Ryan Reeves.
Oh Jesus.
Anyways, I think that's all we have for
okay, all right.
for Jeff today.
Cool, man. I appreciate it, guys.
Jeff, is there anything you want to plug? I know you mentioned your podcast earlier. Where can people find you and follow you and all that great stuff?
Well, we have a whole staff of writers from, like I said, from the NHL down to the prospects and stuff like that. We're at the-rink.com. We have a podcast which is called The Rinkcast. Right now, we just talk about the Blackhawks, but eventually we plan to spin off to different different teams all around. We'd like to get the entire NHL eventually, but right now we're just Blackhawks based, and it's the Blackhawks Hockey Rinkcast. You can find us on the Twitters. I'm at Puck and Hostel. The website's address is at The Rink Official. The Rinkcast is at The Rinkcast. We're on all the social media, so if you look on the Facebook, the Instagram, Twitter, we're on all those things.
Your friend, Pantera fan?
Yes. Actually, just a little bit of real quickly. I don't want to take too long for you guys, but I used to run a website called Puck and Hostel. Up until like last summer. So for 7 years, from like 2010 on, I covered the Blackhawks solely under my own website called Puck and Hostel, where I kind of melded heavy metal and hockey together.
I like it.
We actually, on our podcast, have had like a couple of band from the band Demon Hunter. We're going to have a guy from the band called Periphery. So we've got we kind of meld the whole heavy metal and hockey thing in together. I try to keep it going on the news site. So, but awesome. I let people know, hey, if you guys want to tune out for this, like next 15 minutes while we geek out over heavy metal, that's fine.
I support that.
I want to say trade Brent Seabrook. You can talk about that.
Well, that'll be like 2024.
Or
we'll be here.
Or maybe even Seattle will pick him up if Seattle gets a team, you know?
There you go.
There you go. 2024, and we have 10 lockouts in between now and then.
real quick before you leave, what would you call the Seattle team?
Ooh.
I was always, I mean, this isn't an exciting name, I like how the Seattle Thunderbirds are, but of course you can't use that name. So I would have been okay with like Seattle Firebirds.
Thundercats.
Thundercats. What?
Seattle Seahawks.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
my
go.
Hags.
I've
So
seen
original.
Metropolitans too, but
Yeah,
that's kind of weird with the Metropolitan Division. I don't know.
Can
how
you
that-
imagine chanting that? Just doesn't sound right.
Let's
go Metro. Like what?
Metro.
What?
About let's go Mets.
Metros?
No, but you can't say.
Yeah.
I
Seattle
mean,
Mets.
Metrosexuals? I don't know.
Ooh, I'm in.
About the Seattle Seabrooks.
Seattle Seabrooks. There you go.
If they could expose them to the expansion draft, sure.
Oh, there you
Let's
go.
do it. Hashtag Seattle Seabrooks.
Cool, Jeff. So again, thank you guys.
Thank you, guys. I
Follow
appreciate it.
follow Jeff Osborn everywhere. Follow his podcast. Do all that stuff. Subscribe.
Gator Jeff.
And,
Gator Jeff.
That's right. Jeff, thank
Gator
you again,
Jeff.
man, and have yourself a good night.
Roll Tide.
Thanks, guys.
All right, and that was Jeff Osborn.
The Gatekeeper.
The
Gator
Gatekeeper.
Jeff.
Gave us some fun facts about Chicago. I never knew about the Corey Crawford thing.
Yeah, that's weird. That's like some Shippershoff stuff going on.
No, that's like he must have went out with Dustin Penner out to Easter Island or something. You
Corey
know?
Crawford?
Yeah, Corey Crawford and Dustin Penner hung out on Easter Island.
Probably just went back to
disappeared.
Canada and fucking hung out. And...
But it's weird because they never heard from him. Like, they had to have tried contacting him too, right?
Well, Dustin Penner said that he was affiliated with Anonymous or whatever that
Ooh.
organization's called.
So what does that mean?
Corey
So
Crawford's
maybe
in it.
Corey Crawford just disappeared for a month.
Oh, he got off the grid.
Ooh,
Oh shit.
interesting.
Damn.
Anyways.
Maybe Corey Crawford and Dustin Penner had a lifelong feud, and Dustin Penner made a call and got him.
Ooh. Ooh.
Hot takes.
Anyways, that
So
was fun.
yeah, that's pretty much about it for this week. You guys have anything else you want to put in there?
Nope.
Pizza does not, or fuck.
What the hell are you saying?
Pineapple does not belong on pizza.
Put in where?
It
Dad?
does. It does. Pineapple does belong on pizza.
No, it does not.
So does ham and sriracha.
Oh, you're fucking
Oh my
gross.
God.
Jesus Christ.
Fruit doesn't belong on pizza.
Oh my
All right,
God,
I'm
it's
outta here. That's how I'm ending this.
So good. So, anyways, guys,
That's why
Hey.
Des is fat.
hit us up with any questions. We'll answer them. Check us out.
Yeah.
On
Slide
all
into
the
those
social-
DMs,
Oh,
boys
yeah.
and girls.
Mainly boys.
Wow.
So we'll see you next Monday.
That's
Tuesday,
right. We'll see you guys
Thursday,
next
Friday.
week for another episode of Around the Boards. Peace out.
Bye.
Hey, ATB fans, don't forget to follow us on all your social media accounts. On Twitter @_ATB podcast. On Instagram, search Around the Boards. On Facebook, facebook.com/Around the Boards. In the iTunes store and Spotify now. Don't forget to subscribe there to follow us for all our latest episodes. Also, check us out on our Libsyn page at aroundtheboards.libsyn.com. We'll see you next week, hockey fans.